Welcome back to Restaurant Review. I'm your host, Bob Bockelman, and it's summertime USA here in New Orleans, and we're glad you're back. Today we have a wonderful new performer for you. You may recognize her. A few months back, she was on our Artist Review program, for those who catch that at the end of the month. And she was one of our few and rare photographers. So we hope you saw her work there, but if not, you can enjoy, because she's also her own songwriter and vocalist. And she's juggling two careers, which is really good. So we want to go ahead and introduce to you Miss Nattie, as she goes by. Nattie, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi.
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from New Orleans?
I'm from the North Shore. From New Orleans originally. Grew up on the North Shore.
Grew up on the North Shore.
Been living here about 12 years.
12 years. Well, that's pretty good. And how long have you been into music? I know you've been in photography for a while. So
for quite a while. Music almost the same. I started writing songs about 7 or 8 years ago. Started performing in New Orleans about 3 years ago.
Wow. And what motive, like especially having a dual career, maybe I asked you this when you were on photography, how did you choose to have to go from one to the other, whether it was songwriting first to I want to take pictures. Even though you're doing them simultaneously, how did that inspiration come to take the other career path?
I think it was a natural progression with the photography and the music. It's a similar setup for me. I photograph things that inspire me for some reason. Songs, it's the same thing. Mostly I write songs that crack me up. That's my biggest talent. I was going to ask just making my own self laugh, and that's how I started to write songs. I was going to ask you, where do you draw inspiration for your songs? But comedy, obviously. Everyday situations or different perspectives. Perspective plays a big part in the songs I write.
Well, everybody knows one person's tragedy is another's comedy, so that's exactly. Just depending on perspective. Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's see. I know you said you had a website because you had one for your photography. So why don't you go ahead and tell the folks about that for the songwriting?
It's the same website. It's www.nattie-concepts.com. You can link to my MySpace page also, where I have some songs on there.
Nattie-concepts.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And also appearances for people who want to see you. I know you do good work at the Newtoground. When's your next show there?
July 17th at 8 o'clock.
And is that the night by week?
It's a Thursday night.
Thursday night, July 17th at 8 o'clock.
8. Yeah, I usually play the third Thursday of every month.
Great. There you go, folks, in case you missed that one. And lastly, you said you got something exciting. You're working on a one-man show?
A one-woman show.
One woman, excuse me.
I'm combining photographs and music and to put together a show. Hopefully in the fall I'll produce it.
Well, please keep us abreast of it. We'll certainly give it out to the audience, and also I'm sure you'll put it on your website.
Oh,
right?
Definitely.
Okay, well, why don't we take a back seat and let's hear what you have to do.
All right.
Tell us. Thank you.
Okay. All right. First song that I'm going to sing is based on some festival experiences. This is a song about a woman I met at Jazz Fest a few years back. Well, I was standing in the beer line buying a drink when a sharp-looking woman asked me, "What do you think? Could I borrow your phone? I need to make a call. I really need to speak with my son, Paul." Well, since we're outside the gospel tent, I thought she was worthy of being hell-bent. She was looking her best, protecting her own. Well, I could tell that she really needed to phone home. So being the kind southern woman I am, well, I obliged a sweet lady. I said, "No problem, ma'am." I asked for the number and I dialed it when she grabbed hold of the phone. Boy, she changed her tone. Well, as she spoke, I swigged my beer, but I nearly spit it out after what I was hearing. The words flying out of that mama's mouth, they could surely be heard all over the South. She cussed him out, every name in the book. She didn't care that folks, they were starting to look. Now that's a true Southern lady, refined with manners in the gutter. She's dressed to the nines, and after all of that, she gave the phone to me. She said thanks as I stared incredulously. Having said her piece, she bid goodbye, and then she walked off with her head held high. Now that's a true Southern lady, refined with manners in the gutter. She's dressed to the nines. That's a true Southern lady, refined with manners in the gutter. She's dressed to the nines.
Well, thank you, Nattie, and what a cool-looking guitar, folks. Have you ever seen one? It's such a pretty shade of blue, huh? Well, she'll be back a little later, as all our guests do, and do a couple more songs, so stay tuned to the cute little numbers that she put together and plays for you. Well, let's get to our meat and potatoes. As you know, we're here always as best we can with new restaurants, and today we have a long-standing friend of mine who's owned his restaurant for several years, and it's undergone a major change. So we're really pleased to bring him to you. And he is out. The restaurant is called La Famiglia, and it's not Spanish. It sounds like it, but it's definitely an Italian restaurant, which is always so popular, as you know. Now, this is in our neighboring parish, Jefferson Parish, and really the older METAIRIE section, right off of Bonneville on OAKLAWN. So very, very convenient. A few years back, when our chef and owner opened it up, it was a Mediterranean style, but now he said, well, let's go ahead and move, and we're going to see why, because he's got some great experiences. So we're welcoming to the show TJ QUTOB, the executive chef and owner of La Famiglia. Welcome to the show, TJ.
Thank you, Bob. How are you?
Please, we really appreciate you coming by. Long overdue. TJ was on our show years ago with his first restaurant, and that was even before we were on TV. We were on radio. He was nice enough to be our guest, and you know that's tough to try and do this show on radio when people can't see what you actually cooking up, because that's the whole situation, the picture. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to move on back to Italian, or expand on Italian, and a little bit about your background, please.
Yes, Bob. Perhaps, as you know, in the past I had PETRAS, which was a Mediterranean restaurant. But the Mediterranean had more than one concept, an Italian, French, exactly. Spanish, Middle Eastern, North African, all that stuff. And people were a little bit confused with it. A lot of people thought, with my history back with working in the restaurant business, I worked for 10 years at Andrea's, and that was mostly Italian, Northern Italian and stuff.
So Chef Andrea, you know, is an institution in Jefferson Parish. His restaurant has been there, I'm sure, at least 30 years, if not longer. Go ahead.
Andrea been for about 25 years, and I worked the first 10 years with him.
So you can't get better, knowledge or exposure to the Italian foods than with Chef Andrea.
Definitely. A lot of authentic Italian food that he was doing and stuff. So my real experience was with more Italian, but I tried to bring something new, which is the Mediterranean, but then we switched to, after trying different things, I think Italian has a lot to do with the city.
And I think also Mediterranean, which when you first opened was fairly new, especially in the Jefferson area. Now it's almost as common as any other, as many other. So maybe we have too many Mediterranean restaurants, and the Italian, which used to be, and French used to be the prevalent ones. Now those have kind of shrunk. So there's nothing better than having a long-standing good Italian restaurant. Now, let's talk about specifics about the restaurant. As we said, what's the exact address on OAKLAWN?
Okay, La Famiglia, it's right in OAKLAWN, 541 OAKLAWN Drive, off the corner of OAKLAWN and Veterans.
Yeah, the only problem with it doesn't face on Veterans. Yes. And that's what people say, we can't see it, but you're only a hop, skip, and jump off of Veterans, and it's on OAKLAWN, so that's really about the 1000 block, you think? For those, it's only about 10 blocks from the Orleans line, from the 17th Street Canal.
Exactly. We are like 2 blocks away, 2 traffic lights away from Bonneville going toward New Orleans.
Right.
2 traffic lights coming to Jefferson from New Orleans.
So there you go. So it's before Bonneville, so it's very easy for you New Orleanians who say, well, I don't go to the parish that often unless it's shopping. It's very, very cute. So it's not like you got to drive all the way to New Kenna or New Metairie. It's right in the old heart of Metairie, right on Veterans. So you really shouldn't find it a problem at all. Now, let's talk about seating, because it's a fairly large restaurant, even though you've scaled it down the main dining room and have some adjunct private rooms. So what type of capacity do you have in your normal seating
We
area?
seat up to 80 people in our dining room. And we have 2 small private rooms. One of them seat up to 16 to 18 people, and the other one seat up to 30 people.
Okay.
So it's very comfort, as you see in the picture, that they are very spacey.
Oh, yeah.
Dining, a lot of
you're not breathing down each other's neck. There's nice
so
room for not only the waiter or waitress, but also for yourself and your party.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, more importantly now, the hours of operation. What's good about you, you're a 7-day-a-week.
We are open 7 days a week. The only day we close is Saturday lunch. But we are open for lunch Sunday through Friday from 11 until 2:30. We do close between lunch and dinner. Then we open 7 nights from 5 till 9:30 and 10 o'clock on Friday night and Saturday night.
And Sunday, what are you hours?
Sunday we open all day.
All day. Okay, so that's the key, folks. 7 days a week. So if you get that Italian craving, you're not going to have a problem.
No,
we can satisfy. That's the key.
Take care of you. Yeah.
Well, like I say, not only knowing TJ's experience with his previous restaurant, but his talent in the Italian way, I was very excited to see. And what's really good about his restaurant, not only the comfortable surroundings and on the food itself, is that he's willing to do the traditional stuff, instead of meat and potatoes, the meatballs and pasta, spaghetti, but he also does some of the exciting new stuff, or exciting stuff that some of the other restaurants might not do because it might be more labor intensive or it's just not as well known. So that's what's good about it. Whether you're a seasoned diner, you just want the basics in Sicilian or Southern Italy cooking, or you want something that's a little different that normally you won't see, you're going to get those accommodated. We'll see some of those in our pictures. So let's do this. Whether we already got most information, I think we've touched on anything. If anything else comes to mind, we can always talk about it. But let's delve into our pictures. And as you know, we always start with appetizers. He's got a lovely selection of appetizers. And the first one may be one that you have not seen, have heard, or tasted at another restaurant, but not necessarily prepared with this option. So we'll take a look, and that is calamari. Most of us know calamari is strictly fried, okay? And as TJ is going to tell you, he certainly serves strictly fried. But this is one that is sautéed in olive oil, and this is my favorite way. It's much more delicate, but again, it's not the usual way of serving it. So only if you've got a really talented chef that will offer that option. So tell us a little bit about your calamari here, because it's a really lovely part. I thoroughly enjoyed my selection.
The calamari that we have seen in the picture is a minute ago. It's fresh calamari that we chop it up, and then we saute it with the fresh olive oil, a little bit of garlic, onion, a little bit of crushed red pepper. And we saute the calamari, we add a little bit of fish stock, and we finish it with a little bit of butter. So it's nice, tasty, maybe a touch of lemon juice, or a touch of
almost like a soup. It was really so good.
It's almost like a soup, but it's a nice, different way than perhaps we do it a lot. It's very popular. The same exact way. The only thing we add a little bit of the fresh tomato to it to make it as like in the tomato sauce. It's cooked in the same exact way. And perhaps if you like the same traditional way that we do it fried with the marinara sauce, and we
so you're willing to accommodate. See, that's what I'm saying, folks. So if you've only known it one way, that fried with the marinara, he'll do it. Or he'll do it with the olive oil or with a marinara sauce cooked as a soup or an entree. Really very, very flexible. Okay, let's take a look at our next appetizer. I've forgotten the order, so let's see if we can take a look. This is something I haven't found anywhere, and this maybe even has a little throwback to his Mediterranean influence, and this is stuffed shrimp in phyllo dough, and really one of the tastiest. Phyllo dough, for those who've eaten Greek, maybe baklava, if you know that pastry shell that's so light and flaky, that's exactly what we have here. So tell us, and most importantly, tell us about, I believe it was seafood stuffing. It was just so good. Tell us about your shrimp stuff.
The stuffed shrimp, this is a dish that was very, very popular with us in the past when I had a Mediterranean restaurant. And what we do is we take the shrimp, butterfly it, and top it with the stuffing that we actually make with crab meat, shrimp, crawfish tail, and breadcrumbs. We cook it together.
Even using our local crawfish, very good.
Definitely. And we make the stuffing, then we top it over the shrimp, and then we wrap it in the phyllo dough, and we bake it with a little bit of olive oil in it, just to give it a golden color. Then we serve with a little bit lemon butter sauce.
A little lemon butter, The sauce is very light. It's not floating in it like some of the... but so tasty and light. That's what I enjoyed about it. It wasn't too heavy.
No, we try to do like with my restaurant, La Famiglia, that means really the family. And we try to do a lot of light things. Not everything has to be the heavy tomato sauce or this. A lot of things we like to do in the light sauce because people are getting away from the heavy traditional things.
Sure.
We're trying to do the new things, and we do light sauces and things like that.
But you also do the heavy to accommodate us stalwarts.
We do both, but we try to go in light things. You know,
right. Well, that's the way to win all the customers.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a look at another. I think the next one is another very popular one, not only at his restaurant, and most Italian. I believe it's the fried eggplant sticks. Yes. Now here we go, almost like the calamari. For those who are a little squeamish about squid, here's the basic eggplant sticks fried with American. So totally good. So tell us about those because they're really fun.
These are, to be honest with you, the number one appetizer we sell lately.
There you go.
It become very popular. And we make it to order. Absolutely nothing baked. Even the eggplant is not even peeled until the people order it. We peel it, cut it up, season with salt and pepper, the flour, egg wash, then breadcrumbs, and we fry them and we serve them in the hot marinara sauce. Absolutely delicious with a little bit of sprinkle of Parmesan cheese on it.
And I think you'll see that about TJ, and that's because of his fine dining experience, that everything is made to order. So, I mean, he might correct me on this, but I believe 95, if not 100% of it. And that's why if you're looking at fast food, in and out in 15 minutes, you might have a problem. Because this is truly fine dining because everything's made to your order, not sitting there waiting under lights. We're really talking about, and that's the freshness that really is important in a real good restaurant. And to find that at lunchtime and today is really remarkable. Now let's take one that's really not, I won't say it's Italian, and so I don't know where it stands, but it is super popular, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And that was your smoked salmon, which normally I don't try at all. Yeah. But you've got these wonderful toast points of bread. You can't even see. You've got the traditional chopped red onion, capers all on the left, and a wonderful dill hollandaise, I guess. I don't know, that puts together and makes, to me, one of the really refreshing appetizers I've had in a long time. It really could be an entree. So tell us how you chose this. This is not thought of as an Italian per se
dish.
Yes,
the smoked salmon is one of my favorite appetizer.
Well, a chef always cooks for himself. Chef has to cook for himself.
One of the things I always tell my staff, and I always tell myself, that you give the customer what you want for yourself.
There you go.
As good, you want the best for yourself, you give the customer your best. And this is one of the dishes that I always liked a lot. And even it's a continental dish, but it's, if you go to Italy, you see a lot of it. And that's why I decided to have nice smoked salmon with a little toast, capers and onion and the Dijon caper sauce.
Truly good, folks. So, you might not see it. He says it's Italian. I've never seen it much at any Italian restaurant, but I'm telling you, it's very, very tasty. And I'm not a big salmon. I like it when I like it, but I don't order it as frequently as I did. So I was super pleased with the taste, and I would certainly order that again in his restaurant. Okay, now let's talk. Of course, we look at soups and salads as a combination, and I think we've got maybe one soup and two salads today. But let's take a look. One is, of course, the basic, and that's your minestrone.
This is an Italian minestrone.
That's your Italian vegetable soup. Tell us about that.
It's a combination of baby vegetable that we use chopped up. We cook it in a little nice tomato sauce, a little tomato paste, and we add a little penny pasta to it.
Yeah,
and it's very light, very healthy. Any vegetarian could have that. It's absolutely no problem with it.
And that's the only problem. Some make too much of a heavy tomato sauce on this.
This is absolutely very light. A little bit of tomato. At the same time, we make other soup like tomato basil soup. We make corn and crab best.
Yeah, but soup du jour, right? That's what we're going to talk about. Even though I don't think we have another picture of a soup.
Yes, but
so tell us something.
We definitely have, every day we have different variety of soup. We go from corn and crab. We make the local soup sometimes.
I know you do a lot with mushrooms, which I love. You do a lot of mushroom flavored soups. You always have. So.
All kind of different soup. We don't stick with one.
Right.
We make some other pasta fagioli soup, which is
my
Italian
favorite
bean soup.
All time. That is the.
We make different things. On the menu itself, we have the minestrone. It appeals to a lot of the people, but at the same time, we do different variety of soup.
For those who don't know pasta fagioli, that's basically like a white bean soup.
A white bean soup with a little tomato and
exactly.
You add the pasta to it.
You don't know how good it is. I didn't know, since I didn't see it on the menu, I've never seen it here, so now I know what I'm going for next time as an entree, because that's how much I love pasta fagioli. Okay, so we've got your basic minestrone, which is always hearty and healthy, and then your different choices per day. Now let's look at salads. He's got a bunch of salads, really nice. I know he's got a Caesar that we're going to look at, and also my personal favorite, which is the Creole tomatoes and balsamic, wonderful, I guess, buffalo mozzarella with balsamic. Tell us about this beautiful,
This
beautiful
is the homemade fresh mozzarella. And matter of fact, we make it at the house.
Okay.
We make it at the restaurant ourselves. The cheese.
No wonder it's so
We make it
fresh.
from scratch, and we actually like to serve it with a nice balsamic glaze, the balsamic vinegar glaze,
Right.
and a little bit fresh basil, onion, roasted garlic, and black olive. Very,
Right.
very tasty with black olive. We
Yes,
do,
the olives are great, and I was really surprised you had the roasted garlic. I got one. I said, "Well, this wasn't an olive. What was it?" I looked at it.
it's not going to
So
be Italian without the roasted
There you
garlic.
go. There you go. So, folks,
gonna be like
if you
that.
like the
Definitely.
tomato and cheese, which is a real standard in Italian communities, you'll love this one because it's got a little bit more of its again a little Mediterranean influence, I think, but
Yeah.
really, really tasty.
And-
Now, his Caesar salad, which I apologize, I don't think the picture is going to be as good for you as what we just saw. Was very, very good as well. Let's see if we take a look at his Caesar. And what can you tell? Yeah, it's a little too white for us, but tell us what you do.
We make the dressing on the house. We chop or use the lettuce as we need it, nothing chopped in advance. We toast it like with the Parmesan cheese, the croutons, But at the same time, we have other salad. We have like a nice fresh spinach salad.
Right.
We do the basic. We do an Italian salad, which is we mix a lot of different variety of things: peppercini, peppers, tomatoes, olive, cheese.
Wow.
Like we use the fresh mozzarella.
Mozzarella, yeah.
That we chop it up, throw it in it, and toast it with the balsamic vinegar dressing.
Wow.
Red wine vinegar dressing.
And that's not standardly on the menu, huh?
No, we do it as a special
As a
because
special.
we had it. Yes.
There you go. You remember that one, folks. So that sounds great.
It's a very, very good salad.
Okay.
You could make a meal out of that.
Yes, it sounds like. That's what I'm saying.
Cup of soup like pasta
I'm ready.
fagioli
I got
and
my
a
pasta
salad.
fagioli soup and salad. I'm
Yes.
ready to go now.
You could have that.
Okay, now again, we're talking to Chef TJ QUTOB, who's the executive chef and owner of the new restaurant La Famiglia. And La Famiglia is the Italian version of the family, as he mentioned, on OAKLAWN Street, which is Avenue. I don't know if it's Street Avenue, right off of Veterans Boulevard in Old Metairie. Open 7 days a week, folks, for lunch and dinner. So that's the important thing. Whenever you get hungry for an Italian food, this is the place to go. All right, now let's take a look at we got some great looking appetizers. As I said in the beginning, one of the unique things about this restaurant is that there's a lot of Italian restaurants, some have still been with us for many, many years, that have stayed in the traditional Italian motif. Usually Sicilian or southern Italy, the heavy, heavy red, which of course, it's fabulous. There's nothing wrong with that. But what's good about TJ's is he's also gone into some dishes that may be a little lighter, as he said, but more importantly, are a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more labor-intensive, that you may or may not have seen years ago, but rarely do you see today. And one of my favorite is called Ciappino. And Ciappino is, for those who eat French food, it would be corresponding to bouillabaisse. And bouillabaisse and Ciappino are basically a seafood soup. It's a soup. Now look at this, folks. This doesn't look like soup at all. And not only does it not even look or taste like soup, whereas bouillabaisse usually is served as a soup, what we have underneath here is a whole bed of pasta. So you can't get anything better. And I mean, look at the different seafoods you have. First of all, around the entire periphery circle of the plate are mussels.
Yeah.
Then you've got shrimp, you've got scallops, you've got crawfish, and you've got fish, and just a wonderful light fresh tomato broth. And let the chef tell you more about it, and I'm going to put some more 2 cents in it because this is really one of my favorite dishes.
Bob,
what else can you say about your Ciappino?
Bob, like you said, the Ciappino is almost a soup, but it's really an entree more than a soup. It has like fresh mussels, clam, shrimp, scallop, crawfish tail, pieces of fish, and we all cook it in a light fresh tomato basil sauce. And if you saw the color, it's a little bit orange, because we add a little bit of saffron to it to give it a nice flavor to it. and a nice color.
It has the look of a Spanish paella, but without being rice,
without
being over
rice,
pasta.
with the pasta.
Really,
definitely.
but perfect for those who know what we're talking about now. Not so much the meats, because it's strictly a seafood situation here. And that's Cioppino, Cioppino, in case you can't remember it and it's hard to look at it and see. Cioppino is what we're talking about, and that's that wonderful, wonderful soup. The only comment I had negative to TJ about it is that the waitress needs to serve it in a little separate bowl, a little larger, because you get with the amount of seafood, especially the ones like in the mussels in their shells, you couldn't get to the pasta easily without knocking things over. So he hopefully is taking my advice and giving a little large empty bowl for you to empty out those shells and really get down to the pasta and do your normal twirling of it. Okay, let's move on to another dish, and I think let's see if I remember. No, I don't remember what's next. Let's see what we have, and we'll tell you from there. This was a special. Besides all the wonderful menu. Italian dish, he also does a special, which may or may not be Italian. This is, I guess you'll see, this was a fish special. Why don't you tell us about it?
This is a fresh piece of amberjack, local fish that we saute.
Tell us it's on top. That's that beautiful stuff.
Top with jumbo lamb crab meat.
Whoa, can't beat that, folks.
Definitely.
And tell us what else is on the going.
And we serve a little bit of Italian vegetable, yellow squash, zucchini, carrot. Then we serve it with a little bit of ginger hair pasta and lemon butter sauce.
And every day he has, I think, at least 2 specials, don't you?
Every day we have a pasta special, a seafood special, and a meat special.
And a meat special. Wow, Troy, I didn't know that. So there you go. I mean, first of all, you're going to see the menu is super extensive for Italian food, but then you're also getting 3 additional choices every day. So you can choose between a special meat or another pasta dish, or a seafood dish that he'll do for you every day. So definitely don't, always ask that waitress if she doesn't, but she spits it out right away with those specials. And a special soup, which is your soup of the day. Okay, now let's take a look at another one, and we've got let's see what's next. The basics. This is folks, have you ever seen a larger serving of meatballs and spaghetti? And he assured me that this was not done for Bob, the food critic or the food stomach. This is the traditional customer amount. Look at them. I can't even count how many meatballs. What's that? 2, 3, 4, about 6 or 7 meatballs. Wonderful pasta. Tell us a little bit about your pasta and your spaghetti and meatballs.
This is the traditional basic that everybody like, from kids to adult to everybody, meatball. And we actually make it with all homemade sauce. Everything is homemade in it. The thing that here, we try to make the sauce a little bit lighter than the traditional meatball sauce, just for everybody to have it, not too heavy. And this is the actual serving that we give everybody. I mean, when you took a lot of this picture, I did not even know that you were taking it from the TV, because this is the actual
But
thing
you knew I was there, so that's why I had to ask whether this was done for Bob or whether this is done for every customer.
We try to treat everybody exactly the same. Everybody comes, have to get the best treatment, the best food.
All right, now let's take another one. I believe this one is another favorite of all the Italian community. I think this is it chicken or veal parmesan?
This is the chicken
parmesan. Wow, let's explain this for those who know what parmesan is.
We just take a chicken breast, we pound it a little bit, then we season it, dust it in the flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs, saute it, not fry it. Then after it cooked, we top it with the marinara sauce and the cheese, the mozzarella cheese, and we bake it again, and we serve it with the linguine with the marinara sauce.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, we do chicken parmesan, veal parmesan, all kind of different varieties.
That's what's good about it. So that same application can be done on several different meats, whether it's chicken, veal. So
and one of the very, very popular dish lately is eggplant parmesan.
Yeah.
We do a lot.
That's probably more common than the chicken now.
A lot. We do sell a lot. And
okay, let's see. Do we have any other entrees? If not, we're going to talk about a lot more of them. This is my personal favorite. Now, this again, folks, which I told you about, is not at every restaurant. It's called bruscioloni or bruschelloni. It's spelled like B-R-A-C-I-O-L-I-N-I, something like that. No one can spell it correctly, I believe, nor pronounce it correctly. But the reason why this is a very labor-intensive dish, I remember going to an old Italian family where First of all, he's going to tell you about the meat that they pound out to flatten to make it so delicious and tender. Stuff it, and at this lady's house, she actually used unwaxed dental floss and toothpicks and cooked it for days. I mean, it was so labor intensive. Fortunately, TJ doesn't have to go to that extreme, but it's much more intensive than any other, and the stuffing is just fabulous served with spaghetti. Let's talk about it, and I'll put some more.
Bob, Barcelona, I always liked it, and the difference between our Barcelona and other people, Barcelona, it's actually I use baby white veal. I do not use the red veal.
There you go.
That's
I didn't get a chance to talk to you about it.
Yeah, and what it makes different is baby white veal cook a lot faster, a lot easier.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, like you had said earlier, we actually use cook to order. I mean, a lot of people say, how could you cook Barcelona to order?
Yeah, right.
When you use the fresh ingredient, you use the baby white veal and things like that, it makes it a lot easier to cook it and faster. So when the people order it, we actually pound the veal right then, stuff it, roll it up, and put it in the oven. It only takes about 10-15 minutes.
Now let's talk about your stuffing, because it's really, I grew up with two ways. The most traditional way was just multiple different cheeses and maybe some filler, you know.
Yeah.
And that's good, that's nice. But you've gone another dimension with it, which just really adds a wonderful flavor. Tell us what else you.
The seasoning that we use, like we use the breadcrumbs, we use oregano, basil, and all has to be fresh. A little bit pine nuts, raisin, black olive. Then we boil the eggs.
There it is.
Cut it in quarters, put it in it, and I'll add a little bit of fresh mozzarella, or not fresh, the regular mozzarella, the shredded mozzarella, and roll it and cook it. So everything blend, when the cheese melts, blend everything together inside, and excellent taste. We finish it with a little bit
absolutely
mozzarella,
delicious.
melted mozzarella.
And the two ingredients that I say that normally aren't in many of the other commercially done bruschettones is the boiled egg, which is just phenomenal from a flavor, and the pine nuts. Now, I have to admit, this scares away some people. There was a couple in your restaurant that last day I was there, and the lady was saying, well, I'm worried about this bruschetta. I want to order it, but it has pine nuts. It's not going to be hard to chew, and I assured her that first of all, pine nuts are probably the softest you can eat, and then when they're toasted, they get a little crunch. Absolutely. So she was a believer. She ordered it and loved it. It adds that extra flavor. So don't be afraid. It's not going to be something like an almond sitting in there.
Definitely not.
Many times you won't even notice that it's a nut. You might not know what it is. You know the flavor, but not know that it's a nut. But it really adds a different flavor to it. So it's really great. And, of course, served with an ample portion of spaghetti and cheese to die for, folks. Bruschetta. So if you want something, and as he said, the reason what I said is that most people in the old days when it started, a lot of the Italian peasant food was they had to use a lesser grade of meat. So it would be thick, and they would pound all day just to get it thin so it would cook, even though they would cook it for hours and hours. But if you start off with the basic baby white veal, you got such a good product, you don't have to go to the extreme that some of the old timers had to do. But regardless, once you taste it, you're going to see it's absolutely delicious. All right, I think we may have one more photo. If not, we're going to talk about some of the others. Let's see what we have. Do we have another one on that or not? Or was that it? That was it? Okay. Well, let's talk. For some reason, I lost a photo, I guess, of one of your signature dishes, and I apologize for that. I think the person put in, when I was transferring it from the computer, and that's your, is it veal? La Famiglia, what is it, veal?
Yes.
It's veal, huh?
It's baby white veal.
Baby white veal again.
We take
so
medallion and pound it in. We dust it in flour lightly, not too much flour in it. Cook it with a little bit vegetable oil or olive oil, your choice of oil. Then we take the veal out, and we use the same oil. We add a little bit onion, garlic, crushed pepper. Then we add a variety of wild mushroom like shiitake, portobello, comini. Wow. And we saute it a little bit, flamed it with brandy, and let it cook, evaporate the alcohol from it, and we add a little bit of demi sauce, and we finish it with a touch of cream, just to make it a little bit lighter. It's not as heavy sauce, and we definitely just top it over the veal and serve it with either a little bit of pasta and vegetable. Very, very delicious dish.
Excellent, excellent. Now, two more. Like I said, we got tons out here, but two more that people might not see is let's go over these because these are my favorite. And that's your angel hair Ziad, Z-I-A-D, folks. Talk about that.
Ziyad is my son. I named it after him because that one.
Who's in the audience, by the way, folks.
Yes, he liked that dish a lot.
The camera can see he and his lovely daughter came to visit us today. But anyway, let's see how your son made such a great dish and your inspiration.
One of the idea is that we use the fresh Gulf shrimp.
Right.
We cook it with a little bit of the wild mushroom, the variety of the wild mushroom. We add an Italian touch to it, which is the sun-dried tomato.
Right.
We cook it with it,
Fresh
basil, a little bit of fish stock, a little bit of butter. We finish it with Parmesan cheese, and we serve it with the angel hair pasta. Very, very delicious.
And if you want to customize, folks, what I've been doing for years with him is that I ask him to add those very same things we talked about, pine nuts, and if he has in stock, artichoke hearts. I'm telling you, put that together, and you've got the best, because we're talking about beautiful shrimp and a wonderful pasta sauce, very unusual sauce, and those other two ingredients that's really made. Now, another one with a little bit of zest in it is your penne Caruso, named I guess after, of course, that fabulous opera singer. I hope unless there's another child I don't know about.
It is after Caruso. And what it is, we take the fresh eggplant, cut it, dice it up in quarts, and we fry it, and we add it to the fresh tomato basil sauce that we have, and we finish it with that. One of our favorite customers, they ask us always to add pine nuts to it. And that give it a nice nutty flavor and things like that. It's very light, not a heavy sauce at all. It's very, very common. And this could be a vegetarian dish,
right?
Because it has absolutely no meat in it, no nothing, just pasta. And
now you do several types of raviolis, including crab meat ravioli, which knocks your sock off. So
we have,
that's great.
We have crab meat ravioli, cheese ravioli, that they're both in the menu, but we always have different variety. We have mushroom ravioli. We have lobster ravioli. We have
I didn't know that yet. Lobster
crawfish ravioli. That it's hard to put all this on the menu, but we run it always as special.
You see, folks, that's why you got to ask. If you like something real, you see, you love ravioli, but you something, man, I'd like something different in it.
You see, that's what I always tell my staff to tell the customer, that if there is anything that they like to have, please let us know, and we'll be, if we have it, we'll be more than happy. Everything cooked to order, so it's absolutely no problem to make anything else that they like to have if we definitely have it at the restaurant.
So, so that's what's good about it. We're talking about customized food, folks. You'll recognize some you won't recognize, but you can doctor up. Just like I tell you, I took the Ziyad and added artichokes and pine nuts. I don't know if anybody else likes it, but it is delicious as far as I'm concerned. One last one they have, because we show you have some chicken. Again, chicken can be substituted for a lot of the parmesans or the other dishes, but one that is really, I don't want to say Cajun, but we always talk about turducken, but it's really more British, and that is a chicken roulade. Tell us, let's have the people real quickly on that chicken roulade, because I think it's a real tasty treat.
It's a very nice dish too, that we take the chicken breast, we pound it thin, top it with prosciutto ham, which is an Italian smoked
prosciutto ham, beautiful.
And then artichoke heart, fontaine cheese,
right,
fresh basil.
There you go.
And just I add a little bit like a wedge of red bell pepper or yellow bell pepper for coloring, and then
roll it up.
We roll it up, we bread it, dusted in flour and breaded it. Then we bake it in the oven.
There you go.
And after it's cooked, we slice it up, fan it up in a plate, serve it over marsala sauce and mushroom sauce.
Fabulous.
That it's excellent.
It's similar to, not similar at all in taste, but concept, but like a beef Wellington. You're talking about things stuffed or turducken, where you have layers of things that are stuffed together, but just cooked divine. I'm telling you, folks, if you like ham and the chicken, then with this combination, it's really an unusual treat. Okay, we haven't even touched really the entrees. There's so many, plus he keeps thinking of more that he can do. But we need to probably go ahead and listen to our musician. But before we do, once again, I want to tell you we're talking to TJ QUTOB, who's the executive chef and owner of La Famiglia, a totally new, all-Italian restaurant on OAKLAWN, right off of Veterans. Open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Shutting down during the week between lunch and dinner, but on weekends, certain days, straight through. So you can go there at any time, really, and find a good meal. All right, what we're going to do now is go back. As we said, we have this lovely photographer who was on our show X number of months ago, who also is a songwriter and songster. And she's going to do her second song. So let's take a listen and look at NATTIE.
So the best thing about living down here is all the festivals, Jazz Fest and others, like the Bridge City Gumbo Festival. This is a song about a little experience I had there a while back. October, October, well, it brings sunny skies. Long, beautiful autumn days, they roll before my eyes. The best October has to offer, it ain't Halloween, 'cause just over the UAP dances the Gumbo Queen. Well, every year I head that way, just off the beaten path, anxious for some good eating and to have some laughs. One year in particular, I was drawn to the art. I laid my eyes on one piece that nearly stole my heart. Oh, to my four-wheel home, etched in some clay. Well, I knew that it had to be mine, but I couldn't pay. I was so impressed and I just wanted to remember it well. So I bent down to snap a picture, then I heard the yell. What the hell are you doing? Stop that, give me that film. Lady, I said, I won't do that. Now, why don't you just chill? I'll have you thrown out of here, camera, and I'll go ahead and make my day. Let's see you make that call. Well, my two friends that I was with, they were beside themselves. There was one doubled over in laughter and the other scared to hell. We decided to leave that day quiet and in peace, so that we wouldn't be barred by the Gumbo Police.
The Gumbo Police, my goodness. Well, that was a cute little ditty. She's quick on those songs, Nattie, but she's stunning, especially with that blue guitar. I mean, you're mesmerized by that guitar, at least I am. Anyway, she'll be back for one more quick ditty at the end of the show. So let's go ahead back and talk to our chef. Again, TJ QUTOB, executive chef and owner of La Famiglia, the new Italian restaurant in METAIRIE, the newest one in town, on OAKLAWN, right off of Veterans. Hopefully you know where OAKLAWN is, in the older part of METAIRIE. We've gone through the entrees, like I say, lickety split. There's a lot more on the menu on entrees, so you got to go and try anything you can think of. Almost is on there Italian. Now let's talk a little bit about beverages, because what's really good about it, he has a full bar. And tell us a little bit about your bar, and then I'm going to make a comment about your wines.
We have a full service bar, all kind of different variety of aperitif to liquor to after dinner drink.
All those
cognac,
new drinks,
everything.
they drink the mojitos, the cosmo, any of that stuff.
We have like a full service. We'll be able to fix anything and everything.
Just like your food.
Plus we have the traditional that the regular customer like, the old fashioned, the martinis, all that. That should be no problem at all. And we do carry a big variety of liquor, so it's not like a certain brand that you cannot find.
Good.
We do have.
Now, how about your wine? I mean, you've got wines from all over?
Big variety of wine. We have a lot of Italian wine. We have from the basic to the super Tuscan to everything that we have. And we have domestic like California's wine. We have some
nice variety. Well, what's good about it, folks, is you may have heard or even participated that they have these dinners now, eat clubs, where they have wine pairing, where the chef or the sommelier will put a particular wine with your meal or each course. What's really neat about this restaurant is underneath each entree selection is a recommendation on one or a couple of wines that would go from their perspective with this dish. Of course, it's not mandated. Remember, the only good wine is the wine that you like. So don't hesitate. If for some reason they're recommending white wines and you only a red wine drinker, you drink the Cabernet or the Merlot or whatever you like with this meal. But what's really neat with today's emphasis on pairing a wine with a particular food item or plate, this is already done for you by just reading in red right underneath the description of the dish certain recommendations that they would have for you to have. So it really is a great idea. Give them a try if you don't have your own mind made up and you don't want something specific that has to be, because it will give you a new adventure in your food dining. Okay, now let's also talk about desserts. It's got a reasonable selection, and it seems like it grows, so there might be some specials. We just took two off of, and again, one definitely Italian, the other maybe not so, but certainly tasty. First one, is really highly recommended. It's called limoncello, and served in a beautiful glass. Go ahead and tell us what limoncello is for those who don't know.
Limoncello, it's like in gelato limoncello, which is an Italian ice cream that we put it in like a champagne glass. It's like most of a light vanilla ice cream, but we actually take the limoncello, which is the lemon that we add to the glass, fresh lemon with sugar, and we add it inside the glass. We coat the glass from the outside, and we put the ice cream in it. That it give it a very refreshing taste.
Good. Yeah.
And we top it with a little bit of whipping cream on the top. It's very refreshing and very
it's
light.
not too sweet, not too tart. That's what's good about it. Today, somehow Americans have to have everything overly sweet.
No,
and lemon really that's contradictory to have it too sweet because that's tart in its own. But you have both the tart and the sweetness from the cream and a little bit of the sugar. So really perfect. And right now you couldn't get a better dessert because it's so hot outside. This is so cool and refreshing.
This is something very refreshing and very light too.
Very, very light. Okay, now let's take one that I don't consider Italian again, but truly was very, very moist, which is the key to this cake, and tasty, and that's your carrot cake. Let's take a look. Tell us about that.
This is just a traditional carrot cake that we have variety. We do have a lot of Italian, like from mascarpone, we use the mascarpone to do the tiramisu. We have the basic tiramisu. We have cheesecake, Italian cheesecake. We have limoncellos. We try to do sometimes like fresh fruit with zabayon, which is the Italian.
Let's go. What do we have? So we don't confuse people too much. The carrot cake is, like I said, the most important thing about carrot cake. It's not too sweet and it's moist. I mean, the worst thing about carrot cake is to get a dry slice of carrot cake. You'll never eat it again if it's dry.
Definitely, we try to keep everything fresh, and we'd like to, as long as it's fresh, it's going to be moist. And
so let's talk about your standard Italian ones. I believe do you have tiramisu?
We do have tiramisu.
Okay, well, tiramisu. For those who don't know what tiramisu is, even though it's a very common Italian
dessert. Italian means pick me up or lift me up, but that means that it have to be very light. And we
What's good about it is it's basically a coffee-based.
Coffee-based, ladies' fingers.
Tell people what's in it for those who maybe have never had
with ladies' fingers cookies, plus espresso coffee, a little bit of rum. Then we use mascarpone, cream cheese.
Yeah, that is the true tiramisu. Unfortunately, again, the American palate has I don't want to say bastardized, I've said it, has really changed the dessert. And because they want things so sweet that people are using whipped cream all the time in this, and it gets, or something else even sweeter, and it loses its whole idea. Because it's really be coffee-based with the cheese flavor of the mascarpone. Now, mascarpone is a sweet cheese, so we can't deny that. But nothing like whipped cream or anything like that. So truly, the original recipe like that is something you want to taste, because that is the real tiramisu. The American version is much too sweet for my understanding and my taste. All right, what are some of the others that are basic to the menu before we talk about specials?
We have another very popular Italian dessert, which is just similar to the limoncello. It's called cafe gelato, which is the
cafe gelato. Okay,
you take the ice cream, scoop vanilla ice cream, and you take an espresso and you pour it in it.
In the espresso cup.
An espresso cup, you pour it in it, and you eat that. It's hot and cold at the same time. Right. It's very, very tasty.
The good thing there, you don't have to put sugar, you don't have to put cream in it. So you got that dark espresso, that rich body with the cream. So there's your cream and your sugar right there with the ice cream.
We have an Italian chocolate cake. Italian chocolate raspberry cake.
Now, why is it Italian chocolate?
Because it's made the way that they make it in Italy. It's so light that you definitely don't believe that this is a chocolate cake. That's how light it is. Very, very light.
There's no such thing as a light chocolate cake.
You try it and you will see. You'll be the judge.
I can.
And one other thing, we have a berry cake, which is like a torte that topped with fresh berries and coated with powdered sugar. That is a very, very light.
And I thought there was something else.
Called grandmother cake.
Grandmother cake. That's on the menu stick, grandmother cake.
Yes.
And was there another one? I thought there was something else, but no, that's it?
The cheesecake that we have.
But that's not Italian.
I mean, everybody have to have cheesecake.
No, there was something I can't think, and well, that's old age. Anyway, the important thing is you've got some that you're not going to have. It's not just typical, same dessert, ice cream and whatever. You've got really some unique desserts, and as he said, coffees, does espressos, the whole deal there. So you can't beat that for those who are strict. And I know I didn't see this, but some Italian restaurants and some other restaurants have gone to now the old way that, once again, just like mascarpone, have gone to cheese being a dessert. Do you do that at all? I'm sure you do if you ask.
We do different ways. Like we use zabaione. Zabaione, it made with egg yolk, sugar, Marsala wine.
Right.
That you whip it together and you take your fresh fruit and you just put it over it. Or you could take, sometimes I take like the puff pastry or or the phyllo dough, bake it in the shape of a cup, put the fruit in it and tap it over it.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Zabaione is just fabulous, folks. And I've always had it with just oranges. I don't know if you're fruit. I think that might be the more common. Maybe it's the most readily available all over. Yeah. But you're really talking about a wonderful dessert that, again, you're not going to find even in some Italian restaurants, let alone a regular restaurant. So we really have gone through a lot of unique desserts. And again, the key thing here is everything is custom and prepared to order. Nothing is, well, ice creams obviously have to be made in advance and some of the stuff, but at the same time, it's made here at the restaurant for the customer. All right, let's talk a little bit about, let's go again over the hours, and then we're going to see if we missed anything before we close out today. We've got, we went through all this, that we're talking about La Famiglia restaurant, of course, on OAKLAWN. What's the address? Did we ask
541 OAKLAWN Drive. 541.
So really only 5 blocks off METAIRIE Road. Now, those are long, old METAIRIE blocks, and of course, you have to go under the I-10 overpass. OAKLAWN is one of the few streets, like Bonneville, that actually you can go under the I-10 overpass to go straight from his restaurant if you were coming from METAIRIE Road as opposed to Veterans. If you're not, if you're coming off Veterans, all you got to do is turn toward the river on OAKLAWN, and it's the second building. It doesn't face on Veterans, but it's right next door there with ample parking in the front, so you don't have to worry about paid parking. So it's great parking and just a beautiful restaurant. As we said, it's open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. Let's go over those hours again. Lunch on the weekdays at what time?
In the weekdays from 11 and 2:30.
11 to 2:30. You shut down and then you reopen when?
We open at 5 o'clock every night.
5 till weeknights at 9?
And 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the weekend.
10 o'clock.
And Sunday we stay open all the way through.
And that is the key, folks. It's not. He doesn't do a brunch. He does the Italian.
It's the regular menu.
Right. He's doing the regular menu, but the thing he's making it available all afternoon. So some people want to do brunch, but they want it at 2 in the afternoon, where most of the restaurants who do brunch start maybe at 10, and by 12 or 1 o'clock, they're finished. Yeah. So if you don't have to have a brunch item, which many times brunch is really a luncheon item, if you want a traditional lunch or dinner, you can go anytime Sunday. So if you're a late lunch eater or an early dinner eater on Sunday, this restaurant's perfect for you because it's open straight through. Anything else we can tell them? I know you said you got the 2 lovely private rooms. We've had some parties in the past there. Yes. And
we do off-premises catering too.
Catering, so if you want, I know some good friends of ours continually get some food from you all to enhance their parties. Really, really great. He does some soup to nuts. I know it's not just the entree. I mean, he'll cook the whole turkey dinner, even though it's not Italian, for Thanksgiving. He's done that for friends of mine. So whatever you want from a catering aspect, he's fully engrossed there for you. So the key here is that total flexibility, and that's what I love in a restaurant. At the same time, you've got to be patient, and you've got to realize that all this food is coming out fresh to you, and there's no better way rather than reheated. So once again, we want to thank TJ QUTOB for coming out. We hope you'll go and see him at his restaurant. Once you've eaten there, you'll return. Not only that, we don't like to talk price. We never talk price because it's not fair to a restaurant, but you're going to see the most common comment I've had from people and through other even food critics about TJ's restaurant, both when it was the Mediterranean and now, is that he is the most reasonably priced restaurant for the quality of food that you can probably find in both Orleans and Jefferson Parish. So that's a very big statement. And especially today's world, we're all pinching pennies with gas being so high and this being so hard, food going up, for him to be able to maintain his price levels for the quality. Well, you saw the quantity of the food. Every one of the dishes are oversized, so you can take some home and eat it as another meal or share it with your family. Well, once again, total endorsement on the restaurant, so give them a try, La Famiglia. Now we're going to go ahead and let our young lady take us out. We should see you next week with a new restaurant, I hope. And don't forget, the last Wednesday of the month, we do our artist review. We've got a great new painter coming in, and we'll see you there. So if we don't see you around town in any of the markets or the music places, we'll definitely see you in the restaurant. Now, Nattie, what are you going to do to finish and take us out?
This is a song about my favorite New Orleans moment. I went to Jazz Fest on Sunday, and I got the shaft when I was at Isaac Hayes. Well, Isaac was great. It wasn't from him. I was feeling kind of sad because of my friend. A long time ago, well, he opened my eyes to Christopher Burkett and some other guys. We became friends as I started to change while I was working my way through a lot of pain. When he came for Jazz Fest, we hung out, but we didn't have a whole lot to talk about. You see, he likes one thing, well, I like the other, but still they're connected with one another. But with one phone call, well, he was gone. Yeah, he left me standing there all alone. I was out in the crowd, 50th out, tired of waiting on Isaac to come on down. So I made my way to the next stage where the Neville brothers play, and man, they're all the rage. Closing out the fest, the sun going down. Well, it's the perfect place to be when you've got sorrows and frowns. Cause when the Nevilles played Amazing Grace, well, I knew that I finally had found my place. And there was me, there was Aaron, there was nobody else. And we were praying to the gods to save ourselves, praying to the gods to save ourselves. What a day it's been. Well, it's been okay, but I lost the close ones, they've all gone away. Well, I'll make it through and I'll be fine, cause they've gone their way, yeah, well, I've gone mine. Cause when the Nevilles played Amazing Grace, well, I knew that I finally had found my place. And there was me, there was Aaron, there was nobody else. And we were praying to the gods to save ourselves, praying to the gods to save ourselves, praying to the gods, just be yourself.